In the year 2006, the world witnessed the first Ati Rudra Maha Yajna being conducted at Prasanthi Nilayam in the immediate presence of our beloved Bhagawan. The grandeur, the meticulousness with which it was conducted, and the undeniable impact it had on all those present made it a truly unique experience. Sri Vinay Kumar, who now serves as a trustee in the Sri Sathya Sai Trust, Karnataka, was back then the leader of the Karnataka youth wing of the organization and was chosen to be instrumental in coordinating this beautiful offering. As we approach the historic centenary celebrations, we are about to witness another Ati Rudra Maha Yajna being offered to Bhagawan. Leading up to this important event, we are delighted to have Sri Vinay Kumar in our studios to share with us some incredible experiences and events he was privy to when Swami blessed him with this opportunity in 2006.
The entire initiation obviously is because of Swami, and it is his divine will that made this possible. So the initiation, the thoughts to even have something of this scale obviously cannot originate from us. This was part of his divine sankalpa, and that is how it culminated in such an epoch-making event. But at a human level, I think what really happened was my wife and I got into the Parayana of the Shiva Puranam about 6 months before the Ati Rudram. And as we were reading the Shiva Puranam, we observed that there were so many chapters in that Purana which spoke about different forms of worshipping Lord Shiva. And the Shiva Purana itself is like a penance. And somewhere there was an indication that the highest form of worship for Lord Shiva is through the Ati Rudram. And for us, the only Shiva we know is Swami. And we had this deep thought in our minds that whenever we get an opportunity, we should probably place this request at Bhagawan's divine lotus feet and seek his blessings to offer this yagna itself to him. But obviously we were not qualified. We don't know anything about how to go about the Vedic dictums connected to this kind of an event. And we waited for the right opportunity, and that all happened in 2006. There was a youth program which happened in Bangalore. It was called the Yuva Vandana. And soon after the Yuva Vandana program culminated, I think it was the 28th of May 2006. So on the last day, Swami was talking to a few of us in the Trai Gardens. And as he came near me, he said, "You come to Prasanthi Nilayam, we will talk there." And so the next day, I left for Parthi and came here. And Swami graciously called us. And when he called us, I had this paper written with a prayer to get the Ati Rudram blessed by Bhagawan. And I also had another service project for adoption of orphanages, which was also there with me. So I placed the service project sheet in front of Swami, and Swami just brushed it aside and said, "Give me the other sheet." And when I placed that, he actually didn't even go through it. He instantly said, "Do this." And then he asked me to open the window of the interview room from where we could get a very clear picture of Kulwant Hall. And he said, "Do it in this hall." And these were the two words which straight away came from him. And with that, the whole thing got initiated. I mean, after that, Swami guided, directed, and led at every stage. Like I said before, I didn't know anything about Vedam. I don't know anything about how to go through the nuances of an Ati Rudra Maha Yagnam. So the general feeling that, we did it is a complete misnomer. Everything was done, initiated, blessed, guided, and taken care by Bhagavan only. So this is what actually made it all start on that day. The first thing was, he asked me, how will you do the Yagnam? And I had no answer. All that I placed before him was, "Swami, we want to offer this because this is the highest form of worship to Lord Shiva." And the next stage of what we need to do, I didn't know anything at all. So he said, "Do you have a priest?" I mean, that is the basic thing. And he said, "When do you want to do it?" There were no dates in mind. There was no priest. There was nothing planned. So he said, "You get a priest and come, and then we'll fix up the dates." And I asked him, I said, "Swami, I don't even know which priest to get." And then he said, "You go back to Bangalore and then you look out for somebody, you talk to people locally, you will get to know the right priest for this function." And strangely, Swami Sankalpa came back to Bangalore, and I was able to interact with the uh, learned Agama Ratna of India, Professor Nanjuna Dikshit, who officiated this entire Yajnam as the head priest. And this, the first day when I met, when we were able to place this proposal to Swami, was the 13th of June. And on the 16th of June, I was able to bring the head priest to Prasanthi Nilayam. And the moment the priest came, Swami graciously gave us some time, and he immediately said, you can start getting ready with the yagna preparations. So then I said, Swami, which are the dates? So there was a book there, and Swami asked the priest to read out from the Panchanga a few dates, and then he selected the 9th of August as the commencement date of the Yajnam, and to conclude on the 20th of August of that year. So even to get a priest, even to fix a date, that was the extent of handholding that he did in all his infinite mercy. This I must mention here because he was so particular about the quality of the Ritviks. Not just about the quality of their chanting, but he was very particular about the background of the Ritviks, and he specifically asked for an entire list, and the head priest, of course, drafted out a list. And then when I placed it before Swami, he wanted a detailed biodata for each priest, and he asked me to physically inspect the homes of each of these priests. So we had actually 121 priests are required for the Ati Rudra Maha Yajna, but we had about 138 just for other connected things, and then a few extras were always kept in reserve. So all those 138 priests, their houses we visited, and we checked their background, and we spoke to their families and told them that Bhagawan wants them to come, and took their concurrence as well. Swami said, you go meet them and tell the family that this priest is being called for this yajna. So this was done. And of course, the head priest played a very crucial role in this. He also helped in contacting a number of these priests independently. And then finally, when they were all brought, Swami asked for a small group of 30 priests to be brought first. And in the Bhajan Mandir, he asked them to chant the Rudram. And Swami was sitting throughout the chanting, just to ensure that there is uniformity in the chanting, and the body language of the priests is absolutely, on par with nothing short of excellence. And during that entire chanting process, Swami was correcting them a lot, and he also guided them on the way to sit and where they need to sit during the Yajnam itself. Then he did this with another 30 priests, and like this he ensured that all the 121 were proficient in chanting. And above this, what really took me by surprise, this is the greatest lesson during this Yajnam, was the detailing and the extent to which Swami would go to ensure there was perfection at every stage. As the Supreme Avatar, there was no need for him to get down to so much of detailing. But I think he had a lesson to drive home to a lot of people, especially to the youth, to the young, to anybody who wants to do any kind of an event, to not take it very lightly. And I remember he said, he wanted a drawing of the Yagashala. So we just did a pencil sketch and brought it. And Swami said, no, I want it with exact measurements. So then we got an AutoCAD drawing done of the Yagashala and placed it at his lotus feet. And then he actually said how many priests should be positioned and seated in different segments of the Yagashala. And this I couldn't understand, because he said 33 in the first bay, 29 in the second bay, like that he distributed them throughout the entire Yagashala. I didn't understand what was the purpose behind this. But later on I found out this was so that when they are chanting across the entire Yagashala, the whole hall reverberates with uniformity of sound, and that echoes and takes the vibrations across very forcefully. And there is no deficiency in the quality of chanting from the priest seated in the front compared to priest sitting at the farther end. So he had this kind of a direction given. So this was the kind of detailing that he went into. So priest selection, ensuring the quality, ensuring their background, ensuring their proficiency in chanting, body language, even sitting and where they need to be sitting. And he spoke to them quite a lot before the Yajnam on 2-3 occasions in groups. And principal point, I think, which he was dwelling on was the maintenance of decorum and discipline, especially when it is done in a holy place like Prasanthi Nilayam. And so lovingly he guided them into the whole process. And at the end of the Yajnam, I mean, which was seen by everybody in that last day's discourse which Swami gave on the 20th of August, he was on 19th of August, I think, because 20th was the Purnahuti. On 19th, he mentioned a lot of things praising the priests. And he was so happy that most of the priests were youngsters. They were youth, and they maintained impeccable discipline throughout their stay in the ashram. He was very happy, especially to note that they never indulged in unnecessary gossip. They were not moving around in the ashram. All that they did was they would stay in their place where they had been allotted to stay and walk silently to the yagashala, complete their work, and then get back to the place of stay. Even when they would have their dinner and lunch and all that together, imagine 130 people sitting, there was pin drop silence. And Swami would always mention this. He would say they are eating in total silence and no one is wasting food. That he kept saying again and again. He kept mentioning it many times that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for mankind, probably, to witness something like this, especially happening in his immediate divine presence. But he kept repeating and reasserting this, that as we know, the Vedas are essentially a huge purificatory exercise. And Swami gave a beautiful expansion for the term Veda. He said, when he was talking to the priests also, he said this. He said, Veda is essentially victory over ego, desire and anger. That's how he split the word. VEDA is victory over ego, desire and anger. And he said, so all the base instincts in man, you are able to win over it once you chant Veda, and that has to be done with harmony of the mind, body and spirit in you. And this yagna, he said, because it is an Ati Rudram, which is the highest form of worship to Rudra himself, he said this will carry this message of the Vedas far and wide, and whoever is present in the hall to witness it physically, and whoever is listening to it, either there or through whichever medium, the kind of sacredness that they will achieve in their lives for now and for times to come is something which cannot even be fathomed. And imagine having this kind of a powerful yagna happening in the sacred presence of Prasanthi Nilayam, which I think is the abode of ultimate peace. I mean, for people who have not been fortunate to come to the hallowed sanctum of Prasanthi Nilayam, this I think is one great opportunity for them to be present in Prasanthi Nilayam from the 14th of February, to relive those moments with Swami. I mean, Swami is very much there with us, and those days are going to be the most sanctified days in man's lives, when they are able to sit there, chant the Rudram, even listen to the Rudram. If somebody cannot chant it, for example, I didn't know a word of Rudram. I didn't know anything about Vedam. On the third day of the Yajnam, in fact, Swami, every day he would say, he would keep asking, so are the priests practicing what they have to do for the next day? And I would just say yes. So he said, you go and hear and come back and tell me what is happening. So on one evening, I was sitting in the room, in the hall which was allotted to them, and they were all chanting various mantras, including the including the Rudram. And I just heard it because it's an ignorant mind. I didn't know, somebody who was dumb about Vedam and Rudram, I didn't even understand what they were chanting. So I came back and Swami the next morning asked, so how was the chanting? I said, it was very nice, Swami. So what did they chant? I said, I don't know. He said, you don't know? I said, yes, I don't know, Swami. And because I didn't even know the Rudram, but just listening to it. Listening to the harmony of the intonations with which this is chanted, listening to the power which emanates from deep within, from the innermost recesses of your being, listening to that fervor with which it is done. That evokes something which cannot be described. That itself inspired me to learn the Rudram. And I prayed to Swami to learn the Rudram, and the first book on Rudram Swami gave me, and this happened in the ashram, and he said, now you start chanting. So I think for whoever is going to be seated there, whether you are part of the yagna as a priest or as a chanter, even you're just there as a layman, just coming in as a public member of the public. I mean, this kind of an opportunity is not going to come again. This is something very, very, very special, and especially happening in the centenary year. I think the abundance, like they say, it just gets multiplied, I think, in abundance. The greatest experience, according to me, is just to have been there when the Supreme Consciousness in this form was visible to all of us. I mean, there is nothing greater than Swami, right? I mean, all the known and unknown forms of divinity are encompassed in that beautiful form. Sarva Devata Tita Swarupa Dharinchi Manava Karmi Yakarmu, he kept saying that. So to be in that immediate presence of the Supreme Divine and to witness this kind of a yagna happening is itself the greatest blessing. So I don't think there was any need to even imagine what were the other beings, what were the other celestial things happening around. But yes, Swami kept saying on 2 or 3 occasions, he kept pointing out and saying, it's not only for y'all, but it's also for so many other beings, the sages and the rishis and so many others who are doing tapas and divine beings who have all come down to Prasanthi Nilayam to witness this yagna. And when the glass shutters on the top of Kulwant Hall were opened, and we obviously, in our ignorant minds, felt that was for the smoke from the homakundas to be getting out of the hall easily. Swami one day suddenly said, I have kept those shutters open so that beings who are witnessing it from above also get a clear view. And on the third day, and from the third day, I think almost till the last day, we observed there were 2 beautiful white swans. They were like white birds who were perched on the large petal which was right opposite on the Dashavatara gate on that side where the clock is there now. And Swami said, in Kannada he said, Thai Tande Darshanak Bandidare. So that is mother and father, Supreme Mother and Father have come for darshan. So I kept observing that during the Parayana, whenever the Parayana would start, those 2 birds would come and be perched there and they would be seated there throughout. And then when the Purnavati, Nitya Purnavati happened, and even on the Mahapurnavati day, on the last day, when Swami graciously agreed to come and offer the Mahapurnavati, as he was coming towards the Pradhana Homakunda, we suddenly observed those two birds, and Swami immediately pointed out, Nodu Tirga Bandidare, they have again come. So who knows, two ignorant selves like us, who probably cannot visualize the greater grandeur of this divine phenomenon, we probably limited it to just birds. We limited it to a few things which we could see with our bare eyes. But there was obviously a much larger audience. And that audience was celestial, divine, because who would miss a chance? Imagine coming to an event like this, and when it is happening, when the Supreme Avatar is right there getting it conducted. And he so graciously was there on all days, and he was there throughout. And I think the icing on the cake was Swami's divine discourse on each and every day of the Yajnam. And he enthralled the crowds, he stirred up so many spiritual emotions in people. And it was so touching that on the first day, when the priests had fixed the Prana Pratishta for the Lingam very early in the morning, and people said, why have you kept it so early? And we didn't want to trouble Swami for him to come so early in the morning. So I was actually getting into an argument with the priest at his house in Bangalore. And just then I got a call from another senior devotee here who was entrusted with also guiding us with this Yajnam preparations. And he said, Swami is saying you should not be shouting and talking and arguing with him. Whatever time is fixed by him, just stick to that time. So then I came to Parthi and Swami said, why are you arguing? Whatever time is fixed, I will come. And I said, Swami, it is very early in the morning. We didn't want to trouble you. He said, whatever time is fixed, I'll be there. And he was there. He was there very early in the morning on the 9th of August. And graciously he came, he did the Prana Pratishta. And as all of you know, the Netram for the Lingam, Swami manifested it there just as he was in front of the Lingam after the Prana Pratishta. And he put it with his own eyes. So these are all, things which I think, like it is said, a fact becomes a mystery. Fact becomes history and then becomes a legend. And then over a period of time, people will call it a myth. But then there will be facts which will again unfurl, which will make that myth into a fact again. And then that is what the Kala Chakra happens. So that Kala Chakra has gone a full circle, and it's come back from 2006 to 2025, and nothing has changed. I don't think anything has changed. I think the same Bhagawan is here. I don't think anything like this could have ever happened without his sankalpa. And the fervor and the joy with which people are approaching this Yajnam now is in no way lesser than what it was in 2006. I remember before the formal preparation started, Swami said, "Have you got a team in place?" So we organized ourselves into a team, a number of us, about 14 of us, each one with a separate line of responsibility. And then we all came here, and Swami again graciously spent a very long time with all of us. And he constituted the teams. He constituted the team leaders also. In fact, he said, this person should be in charge of puja. This person will be in charge of... like that. Different teams were created by him. And these were all headed by members of the Karnataka Youth Wing. And it was only his inspiration and his grace that gave us the strength and the mental makeup to approach an event like this and to offer it at his Divine Lotus feet. And yes, the scale and the level of perfection which I mentioned earlier was sometimes, breathtakingly beautiful. Because, for example, I'll tell you a very small thing. Passes were printed for different people, guests, musicians, speakers, things like that. So we got a bunch of passes printed and we brought it and showed it to Swami, and they were all in the same color. But the names were different. It said guest, it said. So the small thing he noticed was, he said, if they are of different colors, then people will be able to identify them more easily. So you get the guest pass in this color, the musician's pass in this color, the accompanying pass in this color. I mean, this might sound very small, but just imagine the detailing to which he goes in. I also remember every day for the evening programs, because we also had the talks and music programs on all days. So each day there was a sheet created for the program of that day. And when I would go and show it to Bhagawan, he would read it and not only look at the music program or the person who's speaking. I remember the fourth or fifth day, I think we had a scientist from Indian Institute of Science who was speaking. And the question Swami asked me was, how long has he been working in Indian Institute of Science? And where does he live in Bangalore? And has he come with his family? These are three questions he asked. I mean, this just took me by surprise, because we were placing before him a sheet of paper saying, so-and-so is talking today on this subject, Swami. The speaker had already been blessed by him. But by asking these questions, he wanted to know if he had gone into the full detailing about the speaker himself. Where he was working, what is the family, have they been invited for this talk and for this program? And I said, I don't know. And Swami said, you should have invited the family. And this he mentioned repeatedly for a few other artists also. I observed that this time on the 24th, there is a program, I think the Shiva Parati Kalyanam is also happening as part of this Yajnam here. And the artist who is performing is Karthik Jnaneshwaran. He was the same artist who performed on the first day of the Ati Rudram in 2006. And he was a very young boy at that time. And he was nervous. I mean, he was so nervous, and and his father was sitting right there in front in the audience. And Swami was comforting him right there. He was, he was giving him so much of comfort and guiding him, and that program became something very big. So on that day also, he said, has his entire family come, and after this program, take care of this boy, ensure they take their proper food. This kind of detailing, I mean, the mother in him, of course, does it with us all the while, but the supreme manager in him, the supreme, the person who's taking care of the entire cosmos. I mean, look at him getting into this kind of detailing. So that was something which was a huge learning throughout this experience. For me personally, I think the whole Ati Rudram was something which gave so many lessons in understanding the love of God, in understanding the compassion which God has for all of us, and in understanding the level of perfection and planning which we need to do in small and minute things in our day-to-day lives. Because Swami was, had a penchant for perfection and for detailing in everything. And that showed up so hugely at every stage in the Yajnam. And he also, the blessings he gave for some of the artists in the evening. For example, there was one gentleman, I think it was Dr. Subbaraya Sharma, who spoke on one of the days. It was his mother's desire that, the family were ardently devoted to Dakshinamurti. That was the form of Shiva that they would pray to. It was his mother's desire that a book be written on Dakshinamurti and offered in Chidambaram, the temple of Chidambaram. And when we approached him for the talk here, the first thing he told us at his house in Bangalore was, he said, there's a book written on Dakshinamurti. My mother wanted me to offer this in Chidambaram. But now that you're inviting me to Prasanthi Nilayam, can I get this book and offer it to Bhagawan there? Will I get the blessing? And then the next time I came here to get his talk blessed by Swami, the first thing Swami said was, not only ask him to come, but also get that book, because his Dakshinamurti is sitting here. And then when this Subbaraya Sharma came, he brought the book, and Swami, as he came, Swami snatched the book from his hand, blessed it, went through a few pages, and then gave it back to him and said, tell your mother that I have blessed it. So these are, so many instances like this where glimpses of his divinity came forth throughout the yagna, before that, and we are all witnessing it even now, and we'll keep witnessing it in all times to come. See, this Ati Rudra Maha Yajna, which is part of the Yajurveda, and as we know, in the southern part of India, the Krishna Yajurveda is what is used. So the first day when the head priest came and he brought out all those rolls of paper detailing about the Yajnam, I remember the first day when he came and Swami asked us to place a chair for him in front of him, and he sat on the chair, the head priest. And then he started detailing about the Yajnam and, the various scriptural references to the Yajnam and all that. And Swami, very childishly, and these are all lessons for us to learn. Of course, the Yajnam itself originates from him. He is the Veda Purusha. So who else knows the importance and greatness and significance of all this? But he asked him very innocently. He said, will you be doing it as per Krishna Yajurveda or Shukla Yajurveda? This was one question Swami asked. So he said, yes, it will be done as per Krishna Yajurveda. And then Swami went into the detailing. He said, will you be doing the Parayana, then the Homa? How many chantings will be done? How many chamakams, how many namakams? And how many times the Homa Ahuti will be offered? So he went into all this detailing. And then he asked the priest, why are you doing this? What is the significance? You are doing it, but if you do it mechanically, it will have no meaning. You should understand the purpose behind doing this. So the priest, even at that stage, with all respect to him, they, I think, approached Bhagawan as any other head of an ashram or any other guru, and he was relating to him like that. And then Swami suddenly said that your Nanjundeshwara is sitting in front of you. And what more do you need than to give this to the Nanjundeshwara with your hearts full of love? And I didn't know till then that Nanjundeshwara was the Kuladevata of the head priest. And the moment Swami said this, the head priest actually got up and he fell sashtang, he did a sashtang namaskaram to Swami. And after that day, he never sat on any chair in front of Swami. He was always seated down and he was profusely crying, profusely in tears. And I didn't know what was all this about, because I was just a witness there. And later on, Swami said, take him to the room and ask him to take rest. And when we went back to the room, he developed very high fever. He had fever for 2 days. And Swami said, let him be in the room, let him not even come for darshan. So after 2 days, I asked the head priest, sir, what happened? You were talking, and then when Swami said this, you suddenly fell down. What happened? He said, he is Sakshat Ishvara. He said, I got the Paripurna Darshanam of Nanjundeshwara today. And this is the greatest blessings which none of my ancestors ever had. So this Ati Rudra Yagnam which is being offered here, and for having selected me, this is not just a blessing to offer the Yagnam. This is a blessing which must have been yearned by everyone at all times to offer this to him. From that day, I have never seen the head priest even lifting his head and uttering anything in front of Bhagawan. Whatever was commanded, he simply adhered to it and did it. And this was witnessed by everybody. So this kind of a revelation of what this yagna is, to whom is it being offered, and in whose presence are we doing it, and what is the great blessing that we are getting out of this, is something, I think that is something which we need to ponder, we need to think, we need to understand, imbibe and grasp, and we need to feel that from within, because this is not just some other mechanical yagna. That can be done in every other place. This is any offering for that matter done here in Prasanthi Nilayam is very, very, very special. And this, imagine, I mean, he had the darshana of his Ishtadevata in a jiffy like that. So we are so fortunate today that we are going to witness something like this happening here, and we are going to be seated in the same hall, which is hallowed land. I mean, every inch of that hall is touched and graced by his holy feet. I mean, if somebody were to come today and say, this is where Lord Ishvara lives, will you not go mad? I mean, this is where he lived. This is where he is. So in that place, if these chantings are going to happen, just look at the vibrations and the effect this will have on the entire universe. So there's a huge responsibility, I think, on all of us who are participating or listening to it from our homes, that we participate, whether in person or otherwise, with the same kind and degree of fervor. And that will be our offering to Bhagawan. This entire yagna was conceived, conceptualized, directed, guided, and it was nurtured, and the conclusion happened entirely with Swami's directions. I don't think we had any role to play in the yagna at all. It would be the biggest mistake and sin for me to even say that we initiated it or we were part of it, or even that I was an instrument in this yagna. I don't think we are even capable of being an instrument for achieving something like this. But the one thing which I will certainly say, and as I'm saying this, tears are welling up, I think the greatest takeaway is Bhagwan's love. I mean, why would the Supreme Consciousness want to do this for humanity? Just look at the kind of compassion that he had for him to bless such an event and ensure we all participate in it, we all take part in it, we all witness it with him, only for our upliftment. I mean, if after all this there is still no change in us, there is still no progress in our spiritual journey, I think that will be the biggest sin that we will be committing. So the greatest takeaway for me is to live in that love, to absorb that love, and to feel that love in various ways, including this yagna. Because I think Swami's teaching was a very unique way of teaching the world that service is the highest form of spirituality, and spirituality is the highest form of service. So there was no confusion about this as far as Swami was teaching us. So people who would say that a yagna or religious practice probably is very dogmatic, I think from Swami's point of view, it was not about the yagna or any of these religious practices. For him, all this was part of that bigger definition called service. Even through a yagna, even through a spiritual exercise, you're serving humanity. You're uplifting everyone, including ourselves. So that, I think, generally is the big takeaway. I mean, to bring something so profound in very, bringing it down in lines which might be very petty, I don't think will do justice to Swami's involvement in something like this. I don't even know how to express my gratitude to Bhagawan. I remember once I said thanks to Swami, and he just shot back immediately and said, "Taige thanks heltiya," he said. So what thanks will you tell to your own mother? I mean, who's everything for us? I mean, I cannot imagine an existence without him. This yagna, I think, is going to just bring a huge kind of a start to a revolution, spiritual revolution, which will envelop the entire universe in highest measures from now. And all that I can say is, Swami, please continue to use each one of us as your most worthy and efficient, effective instruments in your divine mission. And if we have made any mistakes, Swami, please pardon us. Please let us be recipients of your love and compassion all times to come. Sai Ram.